Habib was initially a wealthy man who liked to boast about his money. He lived in the city of Basra and roamed the city every day to collect his debts. If his clients failed to make payments, he would demand compensation, claiming that his shoe soles had worn out during the journey. This is how Habib covered his daily expenses. One day, Habib went to the house of a debtor, but the person he was looking for was not at home, so he demanded payment from the debtor's wife. The wife said, "My husband is not home and I have nothing to give you, but we have slaughtered a goat and the neck is still left. If you want, I can give it to you." "That will do," the moneylender replied, taking the goat's neck and bringing it home. When he arrived, he said to his wife, "This is today's profit. Light the fire to cook it." His wife responded, "There is no bread or firewood." "All right, I will go and get firewood and bread as payment," he said. So he went to get the bread and firewood. His wife immediately began cooking it in a pot. After it was ready and about to be served in a bowl, a beggar knocked on the door. Habib rebuked the beggar, "If we give you what we have, we will become poor, and you will not become rich." The beggar, disheartened, pleaded with the woman for a small amount of food. She then quickly opened the lid of the pot, only to find that all its contents had turned into black blood. Seeing this, his wife turned pale. She immediately called Habib and pulled his arm to show him the contents of the pot, saying, "Look at what has befallen us because of your cursed usury and your harshness towards the beggar." His wife then wept and said, "What will happen to us in this world? And what about in the hereafter?" Upon seeing this, Habib's heart burned with the fire of regret, a regret that would never fade for the rest of his life. He then said, "O woman, I deeply regret everything I have done." The next day, Habib set out to meet the people who owed him money. Coincidentally, it was a Friday, and the children were playing in the streets. When they saw Habib, they shouted, "Look, the moneylender Habib is coming, let's run away or the dust from his body will stick to us, and we will be cursed like him." These words deeply wounded Habib's heart. He then went to a meeting hall where those words continued to echo in his mind like daggers piercing his heart, until he finally collapsed. Habib repented to Allah for all his past deeds. After realizing what had truly happened, Hasan al-Basri came to support him and console his heart. When Habib left the meeting, a debtor saw him and tried to avoid him. "Don't run," Habib said. "In the past you avoided me, but from now on it is I who should avoid you." Habib continued his journey, and the children were still playing in the streets. When they saw Habib, they shouted, "Look, the repented Habib is coming, let's run away, or the dust from our bodies will stick to him, and we are the ones who have sinned against Allah." Then Habib cried out, "O Allah, my Lord, I have just made peace with you, and you have already struck the drums in the hearts of people for my sake, and have spread my name in fragrance." Afterward, Habib made an announcement, "To anyone who wants Habib's wealth, come and take it." Many people came in large numbers, and Habib gave away all his wealth until he had nothing left. But one person still came to ask, and to this person, Habib gave his wife's veil. Another person came, and Habib gave him the clothes he was wearing, leaving his body exposed. He then retreated to a place of worship by the Euphrates River, where he devoted himself to worshipping Allah. Day and night he studied under the guidance of Hasan, yet he still could not memorize the Quran, which is why he was nicknamed Ajami, meaning the foreigner who is not fluent in Arabic. Time passed, and Habib was truly in a state of poverty, but his wife still demanded household expenses from him. So Habib would leave his house and go to his place of worship to devote himself to Allah, returning home only at night. His wife would then say, "Where do you actually work, since you bring nothing home?" Habib replied, "I work for someone who is very generous, so generous that I am ashamed to ask anything from him. When the time comes, he will surely give, for as he said, I will pay your wages once every 10 days. Thus, every day, Habib went to his place of worship to serve Allah. On the 10th day, during the noon prayer, Zuhr, a thought troubled his mind. What will I bring home tonight? What will I say to my wife? He pondered deeply over this. Unbeknownst to him, the most generous Allah had already sent his messengers to Habib's house. One carried a donkey load of wheat, another a skinned sheep, and the third brought honey, oil, spices, and other ingredients. They were accompanied by a handsome young man carrying a bag with 300 silver dirhams. When they arrived at Habib's house, the young man knocked on the door. His wife opened it and asked, "Why have you come here?" The young man replied, "Our master has sent us to deliver these goods, and please convey to Habib. If you increase your efforts, we will increase your reward." After saying this, they left. At sunset, Habib walked home, feeling ashamed and sorrowful. As he neared his house, he smelled the scent of bread and other dishes. His wife ran to greet him, wiped the sweat from his face, and spoke gently to him. Something she had never done before, she said, "Oh, my husband, your master is truly kind and compassionate. Look at all the things he has sent us through a handsome young man." The young man also gave a message. "When Habib returns, tell him, if you increase your efforts, we will increase your reward." Habib was astonished and said, "How amazing, it's only been 10 days since I started working, and already he has given me so much. What will he give me in the future?" From that moment on, Habib turned his face away from all worldly matters and devoted himself entirely to Allah. One day, an old woman came to Habib and with a heart full of sorrow, said, "I have a son who left me a long time ago. I can no longer bear being separated from him. Please pray to Allah and may He, through the blessing of your prayer, return my son to me." Habib then asked, "Do you have any money?" The old woman replied, "I have 2 dirhams. Give that money to the poor," Habib said. Then he recited a prayer and told the woman, "Go home, your son has returned." Before the woman even reached her house, she saw her son there waiting for her. "My son has returned," the woman explained. She then brought her son to meet Habib. Habib asked the young man, "What happened to you?" The son replied, "I was in Kerman and my teacher sent me to buy some meat. After I bought the meat and was about to return to my teacher, a strong wind suddenly blew and I was swept away by it. Then I heard a voice say, 'O wind, by the prayer of Habib and the 2 dirhams that were given in charity to the poor, return him to his home.'" On the 8th of Zul-Hijjah, Habib was seen in the city of Basra, and the next day he was in the plain of Arafat. At one time, a famine struck the city of Basra. Due to this, Habib took on debts to buy a large amount of food which he distributed to the poor. Every day, Habib would roll up his money pouch and place it under the floor. When the merchants came to collect his debt, he would take out the pouch. Amazingly, the pouch was always full of silver dirhams, which he used to pay off all his debts. Habib's house was located at an intersection in the city of Basra. He had a fur cloak that he wore in both summer and winter. One day, Habib was about to perform ablution, so he removed the cloak and casually tossed it on the ground. Not long after, Hasan al-Basri passed by. Seeing Habib's fur cloak lying on the street, Hasan murmured, "That Habib al-Ajami, he doesn't care about the value of this fur cloak. A cloak like this shouldn't be left here. It might get lost." Hasan then stood there to guard the cloak. Soon, Habib returned. "Oh, Imam of the Muslims," Habib greeted Hasan after giving him salam. "Why are you standing here? Do you not know that a cloak like this shouldn't be left in a place like this? It could easily be lost. Tell me, who did you entrust this cloak to?" Hasan asked. "I entrusted it to him, who then entrusted it to you," Habib replied. One day, Hasan visited Habib's house and was served 2 pieces of wheat bread and a little salt. Hasan was about to eat the meal when a beggar came, and Habib gave the 2 pieces of bread along with the salt to him. Hasan was astonished and said, "Habib, you are indeed a generous man, but how much better it would be if you had a bit of knowledge. You took the food that was served right in front of your guest and gave it all to a beggar. You should have given some to the beggar and kept some for your guest." Habib gave no reply. Not long after, a servant came carrying a tray. On the tray were roasted lamb, sweet delicacies, and 500 silver dirhams. The servant placed the tray before Habib. Habib then distributed the money to the poor and placed the tray beside Hasan. As Hasan tasted the roasted lamb, Habib said to him, "Master, you are a generous man, but how much better it would be if you had a bit of faith. Knowledge must be accompanied by faith." One day, when Hijaj's officers were searching for Hasan, he was hiding in Habib's prayer room. The officer asked, "Have you seen Hasan today?" "Yes, I have seen him," Habib replied. "Where is Hasan right now?" "In this prayer room," Habib answered. The officers entered the room and searched it, but they could not find Hasan. "They touched me 7 times, Hasan later recounted, "but they did not see me." As Hasan was leaving the room, he reproached Habib. "Habib, you are a disloyal disciple. You revealed my hiding place." "Master," Habib replied, "because I was truthful, you were saved. If I had lied, we both would have been caught." Hasan then asked, "What verses did you recite that made them unable to see me?" "I recited Ayat al-Kursi 10 times, Amana Rasulu 10 times, and Kul Huwa Allahu Ahad 10 times. After that I prayed, 'O Allah, I entrust Hasan to you, so protect him.'" One time, Hasan wanted to go somewhere. He was walking along the banks of the Tigris River, deep in thought. Suddenly, Habib appeared there. Habib asked, "Imam, why are you here?" "I want to go somewhere, but the boat has not arrived yet," Hasan replied. "Master, what has happened to you? I have learned everything I know from you. Rid yourself of jealousy toward others from your heart. Close your eyes to the pleasures of the world. Realize that suffering is a most valuable gift, and understand that all affairs return to Allah alone. After that, step down and walk on the water." After saying this, Habib stepped onto the surface of the water and left. Witnessing this, Hasan became dizzy and fainted. When he regained consciousness, people asked him, "O Imam of the Muslims, what happened to you?" "Just now my disciple Habib reproached me, then walked on water and left while I couldn't do anything. If, in the afterlife, a voice calls out, 'Walk on the path that lies over the blazing fire,' and my heart is still as weak as it is now, what will I do?"